5-star dupes in Gacha gaming. All right.
Dupes are one of the foundations. 5-star character
Yeah.
dupes are one of the foundations of Gacha gaming. They're
Sure.
a way for players to acquire more power, show their undying dedication and loyalty to a character, and to
No, okay, all right, stop. Let's stop saying that, bro. The people who spend $2,000 on a character, who get multiple R5 variants of their weapon to show how dedicated they are to them, bro, stop falling victim to being a coomer and a simp for a character that doesn't exist. And for the love of God, do that for me. Guys, I need 5 gifted subs from everybody. Guys, I need 5 gifted from every single human being on this earth. Okay, that's what we need, man.
a fantastic way for developers to make money. It's oftentimes in a dev's best interest to make these upgrades powerful, but some devs go a bit too far, making them feel necessary for the character to work. These dupes are one of the biggest investments a player can make. With the resources you spend on unlocking a single ability for a character, you could have pulled a completely new character or a signature weapon, which are both typically a better use for your limited pulls or your money, especially if you're trying to get the best gameplay experience possible. However,
dude, I'm not gonna lie, I've been doing the Lamborghini of gacha games lately, which is 1 copy of the character, 1 copy of the weapon, and oh my god, it makes every game feel so good. And yeah, I might be spending $200 every now and then, but it is what it is, okay? It is what it is. Listen, being completely relatable is fucking lame. I'll just be relatable to the guys who did get that. And y'all save your gems, so you don't need to go somewhere else to see it. It is what it is. That's like the Honda Civic of gacha gaming? Hell no. Okay? Hell no. You want to know why? Because the Honda Civic of gacha gaming is C6R5ing everything, because that's the only type of car that you can afford if you actually play that way. Okay? The Bugatti of gacha games is 1 character, 1 weapon, called a day.
There are some developers in the gacha space that, in recent years, have given their players a lot more incentive to dig into their wallets. Not by making these bonuses very attractive, but by restricting the baseline power of the character in ways that feel very bad for the player unless they decide to spend. Instead of adding new features through these dupes, they lock what should have already been in their kit. And it's very clear which company is at the root of all these consumer friendly business practices.
Okay, so to this point, I absolutely believe that Kazuha's E should have always been double cast after you ult. Like, these constellations should make you do more damage. They shouldn't lock behind essential features of the character behind constellations. It's so fucking lame. Same thing with Yelan, bro. Like, Yelan should be able to double E for everybody. It's so lame.
Wuthering Waves, fortunately, is not a game that falls under this category. When you pull a character in Wuwa, you know that they're going to perform across their intended role.
I don't think I've ever pulled for a single dupe in Wuthering Waves a single time.
With no strings attached. While there are some characters who can expand their use cases with additional investment, the baseline characters don't feel like a part of their kit has been taken out and locked behind additional spending.
Oh, absolutely. A great title and thumbnail for this video is How Hoyoverse is Stealing Money from You. But yet, Hoyoverse is stealing your money, because that's essentially what they do when they make characters like that. I think it's so fucking lame. Like, oh, dude, you can't have fun with the character unless you see for them. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a character that has their wall run paywall behind a constellation. That shit is fucking psychotic.
Like other gacha games in the genre. Today we'll be diving into how this is the case, exploring why the design of sequence nodes across all of Wuwa's 5 stars differs so much from its competition, why other games' implementation have become so much more suffocating as time has gone on, and the many long-term benefits of Kuro's implementation that a lot of players haven't realized yet. This system can only get better with age, especially for our standard 5 stars. As always, if you're enjoying this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. A common trend you'll find across every limited character in Wuthering Waves is that all of their characters feel complete at S0. Early sequence nodes don't add entirely.
I'm trying to think of a single outlier. Guys, is there any character in Wuthering Waves where you felt the need to pull them extra because they don't do something else until you get it? Because I have every single character. Yeah, I really don't think that's ever been the case. Jinshi, what does Jinshi do different? Nopers, but there might be something. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a single one. Only 4 stars? Who cares? They're 4 stars. Yeah, who cares? 4 stars, you're meant. So 4 stars are meant to be S6 or max constellation. right? Because you can get them way easier. So it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I feel like even for Hoyo, like if the 4 stars need constellation, that's fine, right? They're 4 stars, you get tons of them. Shorekeeper R1. Well, R1's different than getting a constellation. No, I just pulled for weapons, something you mentioned. Okay, cool.
New abilities or interactions across their kit that feel necessary for them to function. You can't say the same for other games in the genre, and some of the biggest offenders in this category belong to everyone's favorite example of the sunk cost fallacy, Genshin Impact. Version 4.1 released 2 characters.
Oh man, I'm glad that somebody else calls it that.
Characters who, in all honesty, were not complete with just a single copy. Wriothesley, a main DPS, had a unique mechanic built into his normal attacks that increased their damage at the cost of his health until he reached 50% or lower, where he'd lose that damage bonus and stop consuming his HP. He'd unlock a special attack at 60% health that did a massive amount of bonus damage and healed him. The only thing is, this healing ability had a cooldown longer than the rate he'd lose health, making his playstyle one of the most nonsensical in the game at C0. He'd damage himself faster than he could heal, giving him awful uptime on the damage bonuses and making him completely non-functional as a DPS unless he had a healer on his team. When many meta teams ran a shielder instead of a healer, this meant that your limited DPS character had half the team comps of others in a game focused around roster building. That is, unless you decided to pull for his first constellation, which granted him a free use of this special attack every time he completed his buffed attack chain, turning him into a self-sustaining unit that no longer needed a healer to just work in the first place, or an actual complete character.
How many people just said, just run him with a healer? It doesn't even matter. Just run him with a healer. It doesn't even matter.
Wriothesley wasn't the only character in version 4.1 that had these handicaps built into their kit. New Valette, also released in 4.1, was not able to reach his full potential with his best teammate, Farina, as a major source of his damage bust in his kit didn't work if he had another Hydro character on his team. That restriction removed with his first dupe. Who cares that New Valette and Farina are a prominent duo featured across the entirety of Fontaine's story arc? You can't use them at their full potential unless you pull a second copy of New Valette. It's one thing to use the story to promote your on-banner character. It's another thing to completely nerf the performance of 2 characters who are meant to be together unless you pull dupes. The Genshin devs essentially locked the full functionality of these characters.
Hey, honestly, and I will say, that sucks, but that is such good corpa. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is good business. Like, you want these 2 characters to be together? Okay. Pay up, buddy. Pay up. 1 New Valette ain't enough. You gonna need another one, buddy boy.
Behind the gacha. Pulling the character wasn't enough. They needed you to pull for their first
create a problem for $400 and the solution for another $400. Absolutely, man.
Copy to make them feel complete and usable across their best teams. It's consumer unfriendly, greedy, and a horrible experience for the players. And it's a business practice they carried forward into another game, Honkai Star Rail. Acheron is easily the biggest offender here when it comes to corporate greed.
I actually have no idea in what he's referring to here, because I'm only using my Acheron at E0, and I think she's fine. That being said, I think the biggest offenders are once again Kazuha locking behind his second E behind his alt, and then Yelan locking her second E behind a constellation, which is ridiculous.
The character comes with arbitrary restrictions.
Oh, E2 Acheron. Oh, E2 Acheron and then E2 Inhibitor Lunae. Oh, interesting.
Across her teams that requires 2 characters of a specific class to reach her full damage potential. Without these 2 additional Nihility characters, her output drops off a cliff.
How does it change?
This meant her teammates were extremely limited compared to other main DPSs. But you could simply pull 2 more copies to remove this restriction completely. This is just another game by the same parent company focused on teams and roster building to clear content that released more characters with team comps paywalled behind dupes.
I think that's really fucking lame. I do. I do think that's really fucking lame. However, I also do take joy in the fact that that lets Acheron be used in more DOT teams. As a DOT player myself. So this one I personally don't mind. I am curious. I do mind the E2 Inhibitor Lunae though. The Lune one is really fucking lame.
Wuthering Waves and Kuro games don't have the same design philosophy as Hoyoverse. Experimenting with teams and kits to spice up gameplay and try new combos is one of the greatest parts of a party-based game. Paywalling a character's potential to simply be used with other characters is one of the most consumer-unfriendly practices you can have. The closest example of this you can find across Wuwa's limited characters is Shorekeeper's S1, which increases the length and range of her liberation while giving her more freedom with her intro skill. But this upgrade mostly makes her easier to play. She already feels like a complete character at S0 across all of her teams. She didn't have components of her kit and viability locked behind a paywall. It's night and day compared to Hoyoverse. However, Wuwa's standard characters are a different story. Kuro did in fact lock features behind dupes, giving every standard DPS an attribute damage bonus to the entire team after going through their entire rotation, turning them from a traditional hypercarry into a potential sub-DPS with enough dupes. While you could draw similarities between these upgrades and those in Hoyo games, the fact of the matter is that this is a far more consumer-friendly implementation. Limited characters are meant to be stronger or feel better to play than standard ones. You need incentives for players to pull on banners, and standard character dupes are inevitable as that player pulls because of lost 50/50s. So all these dupes do is add
I don't know who the fuck's playing support Calcharo though, bro. That's weird as fuck.
more meta viability
Ain't
to
nobody doing
older
that.
characters every single player will eventually have access to. This also makes losing 50/50 sting a bit less, as they're actually building towards something useful, instead of upgrading a character like Diluc or Chi-Chi, who will never see actual use on your account. That's a lot different from locking default capabilities of limited characters behind dupes, especially when some characters, like Ridesley, have gone more than a year
It's fucking Ryothsley, come on!
without a rerun banner. That's over a year of someone potentially having an incomplete character on their account with
Bro, where is the Shenhe rerun banner?
no opportunity to pull and fix them. That is a horrifying player experience.
Oh, yeah.
With that said, Wuthering Waves is still in its early stages. We're not even at the half anniversary yet, and there are still many more limited characters to come.
Holy side tit. Also, I will say, I think 2.0 is coming out very soon. And that's when I think the game is gonna be able to determine to players whether it's staying around long term or whether it's end of servicing next week.
But from what we've seen across Kuro's existing character design and clear dedication towards its players' enjoyment of the game, we likely won't be seeing cursed business practices like this in Wuthering Waves. As always, if you enjoyed this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. Peace out.
Really good video. Dude, I can't tell if Santontas likes Wuthering Waves and hates Genshin or not. I really can't tell. No, I thought it was a great video. It's actually something that I kind of didn't even consider how much Wuthering Waves respects its players over Genshin Impact. But, I mean, is anybody really surprised at this point? No, not really.